So, what's up? Here we are. We are again here. We couldn't stay away from being live, apparently, because we already miss this whole trial. We miss the company. We miss the people. We miss to talk about what on earth is happening. What on earth is happening to this woman? Actually, matter of fact, I came live because there is always something to talk about. So we're trying to fill the gap of the last couple of days before we get the final. And I just want to say hello, everyone. Hello, lovely people. Hello, you great, lovely people. And there is always something to do. There is always something to do. I want to try to keep this smooth. I want to try to keep this going. And I was reading about this article, apparently. And I will read this article with you. But before I start to read this article, again, because this is a live, I want to say thank you. Thank you to everybody that is joining in, tuning in. We're gonna get through the greetings in a second. We're gonna get to the greetings in a second. You know that I like flags. You know that I like seeing where you come from. And I'm gonna switch to the phone so that in the meanwhile we have the article to start from. And at the same time we can see the flags. Probably because I had flax seeds in the salad. Wow, guys, we're already like 500. That's crazy. That's crazy. You got Canada, Germany. Is it Germany or Belgium? I always get confused. I think it's Belgium, right? No, Germany. I always get confused. Claudia, help me out. We got Canada and Ireland, and we got Taiwan, Minnesota, USA. Is it what is this? United States or Liber? United States, Ontario, Canada, Denmark. We got Puerto Rico, it seemed. We got the pirate flag there. We get more Puerto Rico. What is this? The other flag, I always forget. We got Greece and the pirate, and we got Slovenia. Oh, that's great, man. No, sorry, I mean, what do you get? Brazil in the house. Yes. We got Ukraine. Super awesome, man. G. Danny. Hope everything is fine. We got Germany, Claudia. Thank you. We got Brazil. We got Holland. We got Finland. Do we got Norway as well? We got Sweden. We got Italy. What? Slovakia. USA, New Mexico, Southern California, UK, Holland. Yes, Holland in the house. Greetings from Amsterdam as well, from me. We got UK. Guys, it's actually crazy. First of all, so nice to see all the flags. It's really crazy how much stuff is coming out in the last, like, there is literally every time I'm checking for something, I find something new about what the heck is gonna happen here. So I've seen actually another article about this. I don't know how, realistic this is that could happen, but it's interesting to look into it, It's interesting to look in what the ramification of the process of the trial can lead to. So here it says apparently that there could be some criminal ramification after this defamation, this lawyer says. Amber should start worrying about the criminal ramification of her testimony, a leading defamation lawyer said, warning that she could face jail time over claims she doctored evidence. Which, it's pretty amazing, because I think they're referring to the picture in the train. Remember the picture in the train? We checked together. We also did the video where Johnny in the pictures, I think, were represented, seemed normal, like, a little bit more light, more contrast. And the other picture that they think the defendant presented seemed like a little bit like with the filter, like taking away the tungsten from the light, that makes it a little bit like paler. And I didn't think of that actually. So that's kind of crazy. Or maybe he's referring to the digital forensic expert Neumeister, which showed also that the pictures were passed, into sorting, editing program. Now, either you sort or you change. That's the same way, if you ask me, because at the end of the day, a lot of people, everyone, like when they fiddle with their picture, they're always going to change something. So even if it's something little, I think people always, retouch their stuff. Either they change the saturation, the contrast, the luminosity, the exposure, all this kind of stuff. It's just common thing, like people do it by default. Probably they don't even realize that. Wow, guys, we're almost 762. That's awesome, man. Rocky Mountain, USA, from Argentina, from Portugal. And it keeps going. Wow. Hit the like, guys. The likes are always good to keep the stuff going. I already posted a video today. We did a little bit of sort of podcast talking about other stuff that we found about the Elon Musk tweet. And actually, honestly, I have some thoughts about that as well. Like we saw the tweet of Elon Musk, right? He replied basically to Lex Friedman, which is also another great podcaster. Probably some of you actually follow his podcast. I do. I like his guests, and I like the format and all the professional people, the scientists, like all those more niche but very, very interesting to listen to type of podcast. I find it so informative and fascinating. But I was just amused by the reply, because I know Lex Friedman is a friend of Elon Musk, and he has been also on the podcast several times. So it was interesting that Friedman was offering an opinion in what he had learned from the trial, and then Elon just chimed in and shared something that I would say it's a comment that it's benevolent, but it also makes me think. Now, we're gonna go over some stuff together, but hear me out to see if this argument to you sounds fair. He commented something like, I hope they move on, both of them, because at their best, they're both incredible people, something like that. Very short, very benevolent, kind of trying to put... See, Dave, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the super chat. Let's read. AA should be shunned from civil society. He's a fraud, a con artist, and a liar. Freedom of speech does not mean you falsely accuse someone of assault. I completely agree with you. I don't think that freedom of speech means that you can throw somebody under the bus for wearing the cape of a noble activist. Unfortunately, some people... we get to this point also again. We will be more like sort of humanistic in this life, since we don't have the pressure of checking what is happening in the courtroom. But in going back to the tweet of Elon Musk, I don't know if I can find it again, but in going back to the tweet of Elon Musk, I just want to say, to me, it feels like that simple, benevolent comment, that tweet that he posted, seemed to contradict a lot of stuff. And I'll tell you in a second. First of all, when you say, I hope both they can move on, and in their best, they're both incredible people, right? So I was just thinking, imagine now Elon Musk knowing when this was happening, back when they were starting to date, right? I just thought of that. Imagine he knew that she, AH, told him about the incredible heinous crime that JD was supposed to perpetuate on her, right? So this is not too long after, it's like a year or so after the Australian incident, after the bottle incident, where there is this type of, like absolutely crazy allegation of sexual battery and so on and so forth. And you just have to think that, right? So imagine they're together and this person, H, tells Elon Musk about those stories, right? It's like, how can you now come forward and write a message like this? At their best, they're both incredible people. To me, actually, that simple statement already seems to hide a deeper truth, that either he didn't know nothing about those things, or that nothing of such things ever took place. Because if you know that the girl that you're dating, right, her ex-boyfriend was this kind of monster, I don't think you're gonna come out, leave a message on Twitter saying like, at their best, they're both incredible people. You know what I mean? So funny enough, to me, that simple statement already seems to corroborate actually that most likely nothing happened in those years, because there is no freaking way that instead of shutting up, you just leave a message like this that seems to include a very benevolent message for the both of them. You know what I mean? I don't know if you agree, but I think that seems like also a little bit out of place otherwise, right? All right, let's check. J Mondo, thank you so much for the super chat. AH is need of help. It's awful what she is, but there was a cause. Justice for Johnny. Yes, I agree, and now we'll get there in a moment. Well, let's talk about the real issue with her, like in as a person, right? I don't know the extent. I do not know the extent of her condition, like how bad she is into being a narcissist, or like if she has really like some kind of sociopathic traits. I don't know how bad is her lying. I don't know. I mean, I know the lies, but I don't know to which extent. Like to which extent of absolutely absence of self-consciousness. Of being self-conscious on none of this, or better saying, like, I don't know to what extent there is not inner dialogue to balance all this BS. You know what I mean? I'm talking about sometimes you, me, your friend, like most normal people, sometimes you sit down, you actually question yourself. You question yourself, you check yourself, you doubt yourself. Like there is an inner dialogue, there is an inner voice regarding the things you have done, the things you want to do, the things that are back in the past or in the future. There is that type of conversation, right? And so I don't know to what extent this person is void of such internal dialogue or conversation. Like, I don't know if this person is capable of sitting down and going like, whoa, wait a second, maybe I'm going too far here. Maybe I'm getting into like really terrains where this is going to be so entangled I cannot get out of this. Or maybe like sitting down and saying like, maybe there's a chance that if I do this I might get better. Or seeing the patterns that you end up in. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I know that there are some type of narcissist which they literally will never be able to see what they do. They just won't accept. They won't see it. So to that level, I have no idea what kind of doctor, what kind of therapy, what kind of specialist could do anything for such a person. I really don't know. So there is that kind of gray area now of not exactly knowing also this person on where she is on the spectrum of all those I would say, maybe, I don't know if it's accurate to say pathology or conditions or mental health issues. I don't know. If there are anywhere, like, if there are anywhere where there is still a chance of assistance, therapy, then perhaps this event could be a final warning, a trigger to wake up, that awareness and do something about it. I know people which have bipolar disorder, but they're not, they're not sociopath mad women accusing other people of who knows what. Like people try to get through those waves of moments in different ways. Some people choose to take some medication, some people don't take medication. A friend that I have, she was on medication, then she stopped taking medication, but like she tries to manage those waves, but luckily also there is probably a spectrum of things. It's not just, it's like 1 or 10, so there is a little bit in between, and we don't know, we really don't know for sure, or we really don't know clearly this person where she's at. So I think she should be probably in therapy for a longer time, and find that out. Otherwise you probably just don't heal. Guys, we're 1,000 people in the chat. That's crazy, man, considering there's no trial or anything. Anyone who was falsely accused someone of rape should serve 2-3 years of prison time. He's a real life gone girl and a fraud, a professional liar. Man, I mean, I agree with you. I agree that this has gone too far. Actually, I pulled up some stuff here. I just want to give you some context to do the recap of everything that we know. So this is a nice list on Justice for Johnny is a thread on Reddit, which I find very, very helpful. I find a lot of stuff that usually you don't even find in media, in media outlet, which they just don't run this type of thing. So there's a lot of people which they share those type of thing. And I find it absolutely interesting. Gives you perspective. Since now we have a little bit of time, it gives you a little bit of perspective. So for Amber Heard to be innocent, you must believe. So we should believe in order for her to be innocent, we have to believe in inconsistencies. Inconsistencies don't matter. Inconsistencies in the story, we can fly over it, so to speak. Lies don't matter. We have heard many of those. Evidence does not matter, which, evidence in the case of Johnny Depp in this way. Every staff member and police officer who saw Amber Heard is lying. To me, this is the strongest point. I've said this many times, especially the cops. They have no dog in the fight. So if they saw any sign of something that was more of, in the direction of DV, they could have acted. So that, to me, that's probably the most legit still to this day in terms of being really official and unbiased. Absolutely. So, and it's pretty strong actually, especially because we're two couples going there. Being brutally beaten with a fist full of rings so often that you lose count produces nothing more than a slight cut lip and a non-swollen bruise. We have gone over this countless times, and still also this is a very, very strong point also for the jury to consider, because if you believe, and I discussed this today also with my friend Forrest here on the other video, we were discussing this. If you believe that you can punch somebody repeatedly and show absolutely no sign of swelling, then you live in a parallel universe where the laws of physics, they work in a different way. That's it. That's it. That we don't have to talk anymore. A broken nose and black eyes produce no swelling or issue with facial movement, and in fact can be covered to complete non-existence with some makeup the very next day. Yes. So literally you can heal this type of heavy impact injuries just in like less than 20 hours, apparently. We know the fun thing of pledge and donate means the same thing. She wanted nothing despite demanding joining penthouse and 50K a month for the rest of her life. Taking photo of spilled wine and flipped over photo frames is proven of abuse. Rampaging drug addict. Two sets of identical photos taken at the exact same second are not the same photos. To me, to this day, actually, I understood this a little bit later. I didn't understand this clearly right away, but then this became obvious. For the longest time, actually, I didn't realize that they presented those two pictures into evidence as if they were two different separate pictures, where one had the lights on, allegedly, and the other one didn't. I mean, it really baffles me, honestly. It baffles me that they think that people are this stupid. Like everybody has played at find the differences, right? And everybody would have found one difference if there was any, but there wasn't. So really, it's puzzling, honestly, that they think that they could have gone away with that. I mean, I can understand why A.H. Camp didn't want the trial to be on YouTube, because people are like, what? Seriously? Like even without my glasses on, somebody will say, I can see that. Sip of water. Jaimundo, thank you so much for the super chat. There is apparently no cure for narcissism. I believe it. I don't think there is remorse. Any guilt felt is pain caused upon them by others. Sorry, I misread it. I understand what you're saying. That's probably the truth. That if you're a true narcissist, most likely you just don't feel anything for others. So I don't think you have the capacity. But like I said, I don't know on the spectrum where this person is. I really don't know. There are in moments of not heightened, when we are not watching Rottenborn, or those other people like Elaine, being inside the court and do whatever they have to do, of course, for their client, and just our stomach churns because it feels like an injustice. They're doing what they're doing. We get that. Then when we calm down, there is again empathy kicking in, because we are normal people. Most of the time, normal people have empathy. So you feel like, oh, maybe I hope this person can get better. You know what I mean? And I mean that. When we calm down, you think maybe there's a chance, that this person can get better after this shit. Why not? I mean, that's the redemption should be for everyone, right? To a degree. I'm not talking in the extremities of serial killers or this type of stuff, but redemption should be allowed for the majority of human beings, right? I suppose. Again, not considering certain extremes. So, where we were left here. Every image of Amber's alleged injuries being put through editing software means nothing. That's true. TMZ knew where Amber would be to capture her restraining order and bruised face on a hunch, and not because they were tipped off. The thing actually that pissed me the most here, actually, which I didn't make the connection, and I don't know if some of you made the connection, is actually that pimple on the face, right? That little pimple right there on the face was 6 days or 7 days after she had seen for the last time in that period JD. And I'm like, what is that supposed to be? What is that supposed to be? Like a pinch? Like a flick of the finger? What is supposed to be? What is the remnants of this thing? You know what I mean? I would love to have somebody that deals with traumatic injuries like that. What is supposed that to be? You know what I mean? After 6 days, 7 days. We have no idea. But the paparazzi were there. We know it's probably all organized. So to me, and also the distance, the 6 days in between, the 7 days in between, it's also quite puzzling, actually. So DL, thank you so much for the super chat. What a good analysis on find the differences with two pictures. Yeah, exactly. Like, there's really nothing to see there. And finally, a 6-pound dog can take a human size crap in the middle of the bed. That's also, I mean, oh my god, it's so freaking outrageous, actually. Literally, that thing like almost fits on one hand, right? And usually don't think probably they do like little shits like this, you know, even if it shits a lot, but you don't just produce a turd that it's like the size of a turd, right? So, and then I like this list because then it says you must ignore to consider her innocent. You know, we're talking still of the third person. In order to consider her innocent, we have to ignore audio recordings in which she admits to hitting Johnny, audio recordings in which she calls her alleged abuser a fucking baby, audio recording in which she mocks her alleged abuser for running away during argument, the constantly changing dates of when the abuse started. That's also true. We saw those wine bottle on the floor, which is also incredibly the same picture. I mean, oh my god, literally is the same picture of the same bottle with the same stain on the wooden floor in that penthouse. And they have also they've been presented in 2 different dates, months of alleged abuse. I mean, oh Jesus, I mean, what a mess of evidence, you know what I mean? Like mountains of evidence of fog, you know, like of mist. That's it. The only medical records for any bodily damage came from Johnny, in which Amber is the attacker, Australia. She's lying about donating the $7 million divorce settlement to charity. We know that. There has been plenty of testimony, even from the legal team of the ACLU. AH will give her alleged abuse a knife as a present. That's also quite weird. And plus, on top of the knife, there was written, till death does a, how do you say, like, till death does has a part or something like that. I forget the English way of saying that. The video, which was leaked to TMZ, was cut in exactly the places that make Amber look bad, which is true. The at the end when she retrieves the phone from the cabinet, you know, like she gets that like, I got you, piece of, you know what I mean? Like she has that kind of snarky kind of laugh there, which, yeah, very conveniently cut out. Accidentally calling her makeup kit a Bruce kit. I mean, that's fantastic, because now we all know. I didn't even know that actually the Bruce kit was a thing. I didn't know. Now I learned actually that exists. And she made that slip, which was so funny, actually. You know, it's like really when the universe wants the truth to come out, and, you know, one way or another slips out. failing to cry on the stand when her own acting coach said that she would struggle to cry when acting. That was also fantastic, honestly. That was absolutely fantastic. Guys, we are 4,000 in the chat. That's awesome. Hit the like. This is a great day. I love this. I love this. So that was really strange as well. And because literally you have your coach telling you you can't cry, and then we see her acting on the stand and there is not one single tear shed, and then you go like, oh, wait a second, then maybe this is actually fake crying. Then you have the certainty that it's fake crying. I mean, what are the odds? You also have to believe that the statement that she wanted to get her voice back, and this is how society protects powerful men, when she got $7 million in divorce settlement because her voice spoke an allegation. She got attention all over media and tabloids, a poor victim of domestic abuse because she spoke an allegation. She got the role ambassador of the SCLU because she spoke an allegation. Meanwhile, Johnny had his name smeared over the same tabloids as a wife beater and lost his career over the same allegation. It took 6 years and having his entire life open to speculation and ridicule just to get his side of events out there. And yet, you would have to believe that it's her who is being silenced here. I mean, this has also been proven. I found like an entire thread on Twitter, I think, where there were literally countless articles on those more, let's say, woke magazine and web magazine or whatever, where she was participating as a speaker, as a representative of domestic V and all of that. So literally, I think she has benefited beyond their talent, actually, with that allegation. And most likely, that was the purpose to begin with. And I gave this explanation maybe also another time, I don't remember. But for somebody that suffers, for somebody that is a narcissist like that, to embrace this type of role, like to be put in the spot of a victim, it's actually fantastically convenient, because in doing so, basically you get safe reactions that basically cannot be questioned. You get an attention that cannot be questioned because you're wearing the cape of this noble victim that is speaking forward. Because you have suffered, an accident, because you have suffered something truly traumatic, then people will look upon you already with, I would say, a special regard, right? So people in general tend to have a special attention for human beings that have really suffered certain things, because it's just a sort of normal response. And that for a narcissist, it's fantastic, because you get to voice your opinion, right, about stuff in the safety of having that kind of pity from other human beings, and safety in knowing that usually people will stay away from criticizing you because of where you're coming from as a victim. I'm trying to explain this in the best ability of my English, but I'm sure that you got the point I'm trying to make. So I think it's absolutely fits with the type of those personality. And it's also sad, because ironically then you get somebody that is a freaking liar in a position where you actually should be the voice for people that really suffered from this type of stuff. So it's actually almost monstrous if you think about it. What a freaking irony, wow. And I think honestly that some of those things probably they should rethink their affiliation from they should think their affiliation with this person. Arkansas. Yeah, I have no idea how bad she is. I really don't. Like I said, when you look at the remark of Elon Musk about the both of them moving on, and when they are at their best, they're both great people. In a way, it makes me also think that either Elon Musk also has suffered somehow the fascination of a narcissist. Narcissistic people can be so charming, and he probably still in the grip of that good part, you know what I mean? Because perhaps he only has experienced maybe the beginning, the love bombing, you know what I mean? So he doesn't know that could happen later on, because their relationship is being short. And of course, if you had such a wonderful period with somebody in the beginning, and you experience only the first phase of the narcissist, it might actually leave you with a lot of great memories, but you don't know what could have transformed if their relationship went forward, for instance. You know what I mean? Actually, that's a legitimate question that should be interesting to talk to somebody, to a psychologist, to a psychiatrist that deal with this type of stuff. Would be nice to have, a little bit of podcast asking question and getting those answer from a specialist. So maybe it's something we should do after the post trial. If we find somebody that wants to talk with me, some professional, we could do that as well. Well, it's pretty clear that she got paid. I read somewhere, but don't quote me on that, because I don't know if it's accurate. There was this cipher going around, like this amount, which was like $30,000 or something. But again, don't quote me on that, because I really don't know. One thing actually that was also very revealing for me was this paper, which I think is either a transcript or a recap of what Edward White testified in the trial, which is I think the account manager of Johnny Depp. And I find this very interesting, because here you have like a little bit like the escalation of the I would say, from where it started in terms of money and where it ended, which also gives you a more clear idea. So Edward White, the accountant of Johnny Depp, said that initially she was looking for a consideration of $4 million. But the demand continually increased, White said during direct questioning from Depp's attorney. It went from $4 million to $5 million. Then it went from $5 million to $5.5 million. Then it went to $7 million, and then it was $7 million, and she demanded that Mr. Depp also pay $500,000 to her attorneys. So to get also basically the money for the lawyers. So the next demand was that all of the community liabilities that were unresolved, $13.4 million, that Mr. Depp had to pay those liabilities in its entirety. White went on. So at that point, she was demanding $40,250,000 of consideration. And then it got worse. The next demand was that all of this consideration be paid to her free of taxation. So, after detailing that the payment totaling $6.8 million were made directly to her in installment over the course of 2017 and into early 2018, Mr. Depp was required to pay $500,000 to Miss Heard counsel, which he did. White said he also required to pay all the community liabilities of $13.5 million, which accumulated during the 15 months of their marriage. So he paid all of the community liabilities, and she paid none of it. So you also have to remind that to yourself, that actually the money that she got, it's not the only money that she got. She was supposed also for her part, all those liability, to do something, right? And Johnny Depp basically took care of all of those things. Plus the $7 million tax-free, which I think, if I remember correctly reading, in the United States there is capital gain tax, which is 40%. So on $7 million would be another $3 million, which is, guys, I mean, that seems a lot of tax in America, man. It seems like more taxes than here. God damn it. And it's funny, like a lot of Americans all the time they're complaining about more socialist countries, so to speak, which I don't think they exist anymore anyway, like when I think of the Netherlands, I don't think it's a socialist country, or Germany is a socialist country, or Denmark. I think there is a better eye on like the workforce or people in general, but I don't see absolutely no difference in life, or the sort of capitalistic life that you would have in the States or in Canada. It's exactly the same. Maybe there are even less taxes on some things here. Ironically, it seems like that there's maybe even less tax on some stuff. So that's crazy, man. 40% capital gain tax. So that means that that guy needed to give them another 3 million. Wow, man, that's freaking crazy. That's crazy, man. Wow. When I think about it, it's like, no wonder the people try to find like a tax loop or whatever, or investment, they invest in art or do other things. My God. So we learned this, which is also very fascinating, honestly. So that poor JD, that's why he lost. That's why he sold. He sold the entire penthouse for 11 million something, and I read somewhere that he actually had bought it for around 7, and he sold it for 11. So he made a profit, but I think from that money, basically, he paid most of those things. That's why he sold the Eastern Columbia building. So that makes absolute sense, actually. Maybe he also wanted to get rid of of the house. By the way, there is another rumor. I was first of all, like, I want to show you this. I don't know if I can show you this, but like anyway, this is another YouTuber, but I saw a TikTok basically that when Amber, she's pretending to write, it's actually exactly that. She's sort of really pretending to write on the, like, she's literally not touching the paper when she's moving with the thing there, right there, which is absolutely weird if you ask me. Actually, I saw this on a TikTok. Super weird, man. So this is the DUI guy, which was not even allowed in court last time, and he's saying that neither Johnny Depp or AH will be in Fairfax, Virginia when the verdict is handed down. I think it's a pity, man. Would have been nice to see that, honestly. Would have been really nice to see that. Guys, we're 4,500. Hit the like. That's absolutely fantastic. Multiple lies of madness. I like this. I like this. Guys, just give me 1 second. I go get a glass of water. I'm coming back in a second. So this is also interesting details. And also, I want to tell you one thing. It's my understanding that in the end, the jury has actually only to focus on the Waldman statement and on the op-ed for both claims and counterclaims. Because this whole theater of all the story in between, of the abuse and the wild allegation and so on and so forth. But in the end, it's my understanding that the jury is supposed only to find out if JD was defamed by the words of this article, this op-ed article, and all the consequences that came from it. And she has to prove, the jury has to decide whether or not the Waldman statement that was published, in the period, has affected and defamed her. So it's my understanding that if the conclusion of the jury is that neither party is right, so to speak, neither party, then it means just that she didn't defame him and he didn't defame her, so to speak. Right? So that's it. This is not, to my understanding, please quote me, correct me, because I'm not a lawyer, I don't know. but to me this seems the understanding. So if this goes like, no, still doesn't mean that JD was an abuser, or the other way around. So, which I think is also weird, right? Because this whole story is centered around all this wild allegation, and then in the end, it seems that what the jury has to decide on is actually only the op-ed and Waldman's statement. So, and there is also the chance, because we have also learned that they can appeal to the decision. So I really wonder if they're gonna get any damage, because if you remember also Elaine, the lawyer of AH, she was also like not demanding for the full amount of money, but that the jury will be fair in assessing the damage. Like, I think in that moment I realized, like, oh, seems like, they will be happy with anything. You know what I mean? They will be happy with any amount of money or something. And I think also like a 300,000 or 200,000 amount was thrown in there. I think probably like expenses or whatever. So I was surprised actually when I heard that. I was like, oh wow, they're going for so little. Like they're really, like, in the end, they're trying to get out of it the bare minimum, it seems, maybe just to cover whatever. So that was also really strange. Yes, 350,000 I think was for something, I don't know. I forgot, but I think it's in the statement. It's in the statement of Elaine. Then there is another rumor. I was just watching around, and we also saw there were some posts here. There were some rumors that actually people have seen Elaine going in the toilet and crying, and she was reassured on the way out. So it's not clear why that is. It's not clear if perhaps I don't know, like if they're supposed to, I guess lawyers, they have access to their phone. So I don't know if by any chance maybe they've seen videos, because a lot of those characters are trending, and I think it's also a little bit sad because, of course, those lawyers, they took a client and they're doing what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to, to win the client side of the argument. But again, because of the peculiarity of their client, and also the kind of sneaky, sleazy way of making the argument, people end up also disliking, Rottenborn and Elaine, which probably in other circumstances they're very decent lawyers, they're very good lawyers, but in this instance, of course, and with everything that is attached and everything that they have to defend, then they become villain, disliked by default, unfortunately, but that's how it is. So I was really pissed off yesterday when I heard Rottenborn, but like past a week or two, I wouldn't care anymore if I see him on the street or something, because yeah, it's just what it is, But if Johnny loses, that's a different question, okay? That's a different question. I'll probably be pissed for a little bit longer. So if he wins, all good. If he wins, all good. If he loses, I'm gonna have a grouch for some time on Rottenborn and Elaine. Oh, god damn it! But that's actually quite crazy to think that they, they might both lose. You know what I mean? This defamation suit. And then what if then they choose to? I honestly, if AH loses, I don't think they're gonna appeal, because appeal, and I don't know if it can be carried on, but appealing something like that, and I heard that both can do it, that means also more legal fees. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a never-ending story, man. I mean, whatever money, it's gonna end up in court and in lawyers. So I don't know what good can come out of this. But I think if finally JD gets cleared his name, then it's the end of it. And then, we just move on. I find also very strange that we have seen this time and time again. And we actually saw also a thread here on... we have seen a thread that was on Twitter. You know what, actually, the thing that puzzled me the most here? It's this. And please correct me if I'm wrong. This is supposed to be a tampon applicator, right? And then I'm like, so you telling me that JD walks around with a tampon applicator just because it's good to snort? When in fact, there might be, and this obviously is an argument that you can say, well, whatever. When in fact, it's kind of known that usually female, once a month, they go through that, particular week, which they require the aid of such invention, right? With that little thing there. So to me, it seems like more reasonable to believe that perhaps that tampon thing was in the belongings of the third person, right? Of her. So, I mean, it's a speculation, but seems like perhaps more reasonable to think that than JD just have one of those tampon applicators in his shirt pockets or something. Oh, guys, there is I think there's a festival down near. Like, I hear it, like, there's a little bit down the road. Maybe, like, I don't know, a few miles. There's a big area, there's a big park, there's a forest there. And I think there's just a festival because I literally hear this dance music pounding like crazy. So somebody's already celebrating, apparently. What I would like to see is actually because now, like I said, there is like more and more, like every time there is something new coming out, little details, something new coming out. I cannot show you this song. This is sort of, I think, a German song called Johnny Depp. I cannot show it to you because otherwise, as soon as I play it, the whole video gets copyright claimed by the record label. It's like literally 5 seconds and it gets copyright claimed. But it's like this song. Here we go. So it's that type of song. I didn't even know that this type of electronic song existed. Johnny Depp song. Oh, that's so funny. Maybe I leave it here for a second. I think. Well, yeah, I cannot show you a link, but if you write Johnny Depp song, techno or whatever, probably it's gonna show up on. It's going to show up on YouTube, for sure. Morgan Tremaine. I really like the name of this guy, Morgan Tremaine. It really is like a kind of old-fashioned name, and also Morgan seems like also a name that can be used also for a woman. Morgan Tremaine. Like what a peculiar name. I mean, to be fair, he definitely gained some notoriety out of this. That's a fact, right? So it's not unreasonable to think that he probably also factor in that decision. It's like, okay, I go there, I was working in the paparazzi industry, I know how those things work. So you go there, you definitely get some attention, both on your Twitter or Instagram or whatever. That said, that it's like a sort of positive outcome of joining the trial. But I think the reason why this was done, honestly, I think it's because he's telling the truth. You know, he's really just telling the truth. It's like probably also so fed up with this charade, and it's like just saying, hey, listen, you know, we got this thing straight away from the source. That's it. That's how we got it. There's no other way to get this, you know. And honestly, we didn't even need Morgan Tremaine, because you freaking see the person recording the video on her tablets. How do you think has leaked? Like all of a sudden somebody like cleaning the house will go through your phone and find it? I would think that to be a quite unlikely scenario, if you ask me. What I learned about this judge is that she also did something about veterans that suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder and drug abuse. They did all kind of organization there in support of veterans. So I have the sense that probably she understands more than we think she does the reality of people with real post-traumatic stress disorder and also addiction. So yeah, that's actually something interesting. If you search Judge Penny, you will probably find that. You know, the real problem... She has a knife in the hands. The real problem with what is this? Johnny's Trash. Amber Heard fans. Man, literally, the thing that surprised me the most is actually that there are people which they seem to live in oblivion. Like, they seem to live in a different reality than we do. But honestly, to be fair, I think that a lot of those people, because they're really driven by their own self-proclaimed activism, affiliations with groups or whatever, or you know, like their like their personal narrative and agenda. They already come with that type of bias into this argument, and most likely they haven't watched nearly enough of what we have been watching. You know, they probably just read certain things, certain claims. They don't go through the hassle of actually trying to filter information, getting better information, trying to dig a little bit deeper. They just read some headlines. Therefore, they believe their narrative, they believe AH narrative, and they have a distorted opinion, because that's the only explanation. Because if you know everything that we have seen and you still maintain that you're supporter of this woman, you must be insane. You literally must be stupid. I think this is the paper thing. Let's see. Yes, this is the paper thing. Which is so absolutely bizarre. That's really bizarre. Like, she's writing, but she's not writing. I actually wonder what was that, man? That's so weird. Wow, guys, we have 4,000. Man, that's crazy. 4,500 people in the chat. 4,100 people in the chat. Wow. Gets better and better. Guys, if you have any questions, let me know. If you have any news, let me know. I've tried to keep especially the first part of the live flowing so that people can come after, can enjoy the first bit of all the stuff, you know. I don't know if you saw this, but this is also interesting to hear, right? Like you remember this?
Did Rocky tell you that Amber Heard was having an affair with Cara Delevingne while she was still married to Johnny Depp?
Yes.
Did she ever tell you that the three of them, Elon Musk, Cara Delevingne, spent the night with Amber in November of 2016?
To the specific date, I can't say.
Did she ever tell you in words or substance, while Amber was still married to Johnny Depp, that the three of them, Amber Heard, Elon Musk, and Cara Delevingne, spent the night together?
Yes.
So they were having a three-way affair, correct?
My understanding, yes.
Wow. Actually, when you see also this older deposition, right? It actually quite hits you, man. It seems like that was not an uncommon event for this person to be promiscuous, you know. So and those are the things that are known or that they came out, obviously, because we know we hear this guy confessing, so to speak, to that event. And then when there is one or two, then there is really no issues believing whatever, you know. Like those people, it's not that they have to wake up 8 o'clock in the morning and go to the office. Most of their lives in between movies or campaign of fashion, whatever, is just going to restaurants, having the high life, going out, parties, all those more exclusive things that happen all the time, but the majority, of course, of normal people don't have access to, because they happen in a different sort of, you know, realm, so to speak. But those people are busy with that all the time, so that's what they do. And if you see it once, it's not unlikely that it happens twice. So yeah, or 3 times or 4 times or 6 times. Like you really don't know.
Okay, so I've been watching this religiously, but she's been writing notes during this.
Notes. This is still the notes. Actually, I'm surprised that some of those magazines actually they're writing like stuff like this. Most hated woman in Hollywood. I mean, the majority of media, if you have read some of the headlines, they seem really to twist the story, you know. Actually, I read somehow like an headlines why Amber like AH is hated more than Putin. Like, oh my God, how do you come up with an headline like that? You know what I mean? I mean, serious, man, Jesus. Like, what a headline. Oh. Morgan Tremaine. LOL. Did I do that? Litigious. Litigious. It's funny because some of those words, they seem to have, in English, they seem to have like a Latin root. So either they were actually not original to the English language and they were like sort of bastardized by the Latin, which is probably is the case. Because most of also the ancient language of Greek and Latin, which is, you know, there are still literally terms that probably come from Roman time in the how you say, like the Senate, the people that made the laws of the time, maybe even for Greek times, Donna, thank you so much for the super chat. On the second picture of the Coke table, one glass of whiskey is more full. No, but I literally saw like a Twitter thread where there is different pictures, different angles, and most importantly, like there are different, like literally there's moving things around. So the theory that those are set up, they're literally like staged, it's very likely. And I think they were either staged or just taken to show off. I don't think they were taken with keeping in mind to attach those pictures to JD, for instance, right? I think they were just taken and then after conveniently used for that purpose. We have been talking a lot about this thing of people forget that what you're seeing now is just by accident. The text, the pictures, mostly the audios and some of video that she took of JD, like smashing the cabinet. In a way, all of those things is just accidental. So the real question is why this person already then was just selectively choosing to take pictures or recording of those things. I know that some of the audio there is seems like to have an intent of therapy, like they were trying to record their arguments so that they could listen it back. And we know this, we have heard also that some of the audio JD is aware that they're being recording, and in another argument we also know that he's demanding for those audios. So that means that a lot of time probably those audios took place, she was taking them, but he was aware of it. And my assessment, actually, my assessment is actually that probably there are even more audios available, probably many more. And those are just the ones that were brought in as evidence, because probably maybe they were even the least damaging, most likely. Because I think for whatever reason, this woman, maybe she had moments, I don't want to say everything bad, maybe there was a period that they were trying to do something. Maybe she was trying to get counseling, to get therapy, and this was part of that kind of procedure. But it didn't really seem to work. But it's also very peculiar that we only hear those things, as evidence when she claims that she took those things to prove that actually JD was an abuser. Those are lousy evidence, man. If you include the fact that she had the intention, because she claimed that, right? So she had the intention of, she claimed that she was recording the evidence, right? Then it makes absolutely no sense. Because if, as she claimed, those issues, those problems, those arguments carried out for most of their relationship, and considering that she claimed also that she was recording it for the sake of having proof, then it's all bullshit. Because otherwise she will literally have the same way she took the video of the cabinets with this, with the same sort of guts, of confronting your abuser with video because he finds out in the end. She would have also a video of him freaking out with other people, or attacking her, or she would leave the same way she left the phone, on the counter recording arguments. Like in Australia, literally there was the phone there recording for 1 hour. There is the doctor, the nurse, the security guard talking and everything. You would have heard at least an audio version of freaking JD losing it and smashing stuff and her, you know? It's not there. So that already that already contradicts everything that you heard completely. And like, if I was a juror, like, I don't think I would have gone through all the 6 weeks to make up my mind, you know? I think I would have made my mind already, like, I don't know, many weeks ago, especially if I had access to more audio. Another thing that I seem to understand, so this is a video from Popcorn Planet. Elon caught crying. So you can watch that, guys, if you're curious. I don't think it's probably like literally showing Elon crying, but probably they're talking about what we just discussed before as well. So another thing to keep in mind is that the jury is supposed to give a unanimous verdict. So this seems to be a good thing and a bad thing at the same time, because everybody has to agree that JD is wrong, all of them. So if one doesn't agree, then they don't come to a conclusion. And the same thing is for the counterclaim. So I wonder if there's a chance also that there's a chance that this whole trial it's unresolved because they don't manage to come to an agreement within the jury. You know what I mean? Of both claim and counterclaim. So if one person remains undecided on JD, you know, and the rest of the other 6 or so, I don't know if they're 7 or 9, they decide not to come to an agreement. That would be also freaking strange, actually. Patricia Savage, why Amber why didn't AH have to show text? Well, the thing is this, actually, they were supposed to present evidence, but this is the evidence that they presented. I think they were also there was also a forensic extractor, so to speak, from JD team, which was supposed to extract from the original devices, you know, pictures and audios or whatever, but they were like somehow their attempt were slowed down, or you know, for other problems from her side. But long story short, that's all that they came with, you know, that's it, that's all that they came with. So, and I don't know if there is you know, I don't know how those things work once you're sued, how it works. Like, has to be this phone from this year to this other year, has to be all the devices that you ever had in the house at the time. I don't know exactly how those things work. Like, okay, the phone that you had that time, if you still have it, or that computer, you have to bring it in as evidence. I don't know. I don't think it's a criminal case where you can probably force people to basically bring everything that they have in the house as evidence. So there is those gray areas where they manage to work and just bring in basically whatever they thought was least harmful for them, most likely. I don't know. The judge is just there, to my understanding, the judge is just there to make sure that they both party basically they follow the law, the rules of a trial. That's all. And also for the jury, of course, to make sure that the jury works in the right way. That's how I understand those cases work. We saw in the beginning, but again, that I don't know how it works. Like, if then like a persecutor has to come forward, to try to run with the perjury accusation, or with the perjury on AH, or also the article that we saw at the beginning of the live, where this lawmaker said that she could potentially face consequences because the pictures she presented, like we were just talking of those pictures, were modified, and you're not supposed to do that. So I read something around also about this thing corrupting the jury. Honestly, guys, I find that absolutely unlikely. I find that really, really unlikely. Yeah, again, it's a civil case, so I don't think they can go from this place, from this trial. They can go about perjury and all that kind of stuff. So if something has to happen after. I don't know how it exactly could happen, but not here. Oh, guys, wait a second. My camera went off.
Who is
Is she still on social media? This is her Twitter. Oh man, this woman really sunk her own career. Oh man, that's such a blunder, man. It's like, how the freak do you sink your own freaking career? It's actually crazy. Lesbian camp counselor. I think this is a comment of JD that he made in one of those texts. Oh my god.
My dog stepped on the beat. My dog stepped on the beat.
Oh, that's actually kind of funny. There's always somebody. Honestly, I was trying to make a song of Waldman because it was so much fun. I don't know if you remember that there was this moment where Ben Shaw was giving instruction to the lawyer not to answer some question because it will interfere with the attorney client privileges, something of that sort. And then Waldman will always repeat, yes, it would, I accept the instructions. And I literally had the voice of Ben Shaw saying you're not so I advise not to answer this question on the grounds of attorney client privileges, and then answering, I accept the instruction. And I heard this kind of electronic beat growing up, and then all of a sudden repeating those two phrases, a little bit like this. Would have been an awesome song. I'm actually surprised nobody picked up on that. We saw this together. I mean, I know this is a friend of her, but this woman literally, she lives in a parallel reality. I mean, it's just, wow. They just live in their own kind of whatever cosmos of whatever bubble that has nothing to do with anything that we have seen so far. So this could be interesting. Let's see those perjury charges. So I keep hearing that AH is facing perjury charges in a UK following the US trial, but haven't seen any credible news report on this. Is this true? Let's see if we get something out of this. It's not a criminal case, so I don't think they will or sue her for perjury. The problem won't take the effort. Probably not. Show the case wrong there. So yeah, this is more or less the same. The only thing that we have found out, actually, that she's being investigated in Australia for the dog smuggling incident. She's been investigated in the UK for perjury because she swore under oath that she donated the 7 million, and they didn't push for proof, and that was one of the bases the judge found in her favor, so that should be under review because it was obviously a manipulation and an interference of justice. Wow. Yeah, this is interesting, man. This is interesting because if this becomes, more and more and more still, they might have to do something here, in the UK. They might have to, probably there must be something that can be started out of this, because now that it's known, well, we have to see. This is the bad thing and the good things in the weeks to come, because basically this is not over. This is not over in terms of, like, okay, Thursday we know, Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, we will know what happened, but then there is the aftermath, So after that, there's going to be a period of aftermath of there's going to be like both parties that will come out with statements in the media, on their social media, because now they're under oath. They cannot talk to anybody, they cannot talk on social media, they cannot share anything. The moment the decision is out and that's it, then the first thing is, statements from both parties. So you're going to start to have statements. There could be media coverage. There could be even interviews if those people want to. We know that the jury is being protected by this, like something that was asked actually by, I think, by AH counsel, to keep basically the name of the jury under wrap for 1 year. Yeah, I wonder why that is, and that's probably the reason why the speculation about jury corruption started to emerge, probably, because why would you keep the name of the juror? But I honestly actually understand that, because probably those people, they want to keep their name. Maybe also the judge feels like because it's a high-profile case, they just want to keep the name, under wrap for a while, so to give also time for this whole thing to blow off, because otherwise I think those jurors, they will be just bombarded. In a way, though, I feel bad, because those jurors, they don't make really no money by being there for 6 weeks. I think they really make little money, like really nothing almost. Probably they spend money to be there. So in a way, I think it's a little unfair, because they could have just, accepted to go on interviews and get paid. At least they could have also profited a little bit from the aftermath of this. But like this, actually, they can't for 1 year. So, yeah, that's, I wonder if it's a maneuver. Yeah, $15 a day in your state. I mean, that's really like those guys. They really were there for 6 weeks, like literally spending money of their own to do jury duty. So, ciao team. Good evening to you as well. So, $30. Yeah, it's not much. $30 a day is not much either. I mean, it's okay to buy some food or whatever, but to do that for 6 weeks, if you have to stop work or whatever, that's kind of crazy as well. You pledged 7 million to Frank. All right. Thank you anyway. You know what? I appreciate the pledge anyhow. Like, seriously. I appreciate the pledge nonetheless. Guys, I also want to thank you actually, guys. I saw yesterday, because yesterday I showed you my book, because I told you that in my book, in my novel, there is like one main character of the book actually is inspired to Johnny Depp. And I just want to thank you, because I saw that all of a sudden the number of the book, they went up. So there must have been at least like 10, 20 of you that went to buy the book. And I just want to thank you, because I saw the numbers, like going up on Amazon. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And again, that's a very good idea, because you get a nice story with a character, with let's say a JD character in mind. I actually brought the story thinking of him as a person, not so much the character he plays. Like, sort of, I thought of him at the time, and I built this character in the book around him. So funny actually. It's really funny when I think about it, because I wrote this book in 2011-12. So I published it in 2015. So, but anyway, thank you. Some of you also here today. I saw the numbers, so I really appreciate that. Really, really grateful. So, man, can you imagine? He gets awarded money? That would be like, if he gets awarded money, that would be like the first time ever. That would be like literally the first time ever something like that probably has ever happened. You know what I mean? Like, literally, like, can you imagine he gets like 7 million back, like of damages from her. I was reading that there seemed to be quite some of the juror, which they seem to be on JD side. So, and also seemed like Tina, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you, I really appreciate that. So there seem to be already some juror on his side, and I think a lot of those people are really tired. So I wonder if Tuesday we get result early on in the morning, or anyway we have to wait probably at least towards the end of the day, like, because they're gonna start at 9 o'clock. They probably go throughout the day until 5 o'clock in Virginia. It's 11 o'clock here in Europe. So I wonder if that's gonna happen that way, or it might even push towards Wednesday, So, yeah. That's also something to keep in mind. Another lie. I gotta check this out. What is it? This I heard. This I heard was the.
But you know how she's got like the red here, it looks like blush or something. You know how she has like a bruise on her eye here? I get them all the time when I get Botox. Amber got Botox all the time.
Wow, I think this is, if I'm not mistaken, I think this was also one of those episodes of Popcorn Planet, I think, where I think this is the neighbor. This is literally the neighbor that lives, I think, probably she still lives in the building. Either one floor below or some floors below, literally in the same building. So they know each other. Probably she said she knows JD. So yeah, it could be. I mean, it's possible, you know. Like it's totally possible. Like you get bruising from that. That's for sure not a punch. I mean, that's not even a slap. I mean, literally, if you slap somebody really well, you literally like leave like a freaking imprint on their face. You know what I mean? And then like, you know, my bruise really, really heavily. Man, I've read this story about Elon Musk. I don't know if it's true, about those frozen embryos and being a donor. I mean, come on, man. Like, ooh. Right, if he accepted to be a donor, then yeah, you know, he also has to accept. I don't. I like. I think there's also legal things. You're a donor. You're not the father. You know what? You're not the legal father. There must be like papers work that you do if you do it in that way. You know. So. I don't think you do this nonchalantly and, you know, then you expect... Well, again, if there's one person that it's not sure, the verdict has to be unanimous, both for claim and counterclaim. So it has to be. Honestly, if you ask me, I don't think that there's only one person in favor of JD. I'm like certain that there must be at least a couple of person in that jury that they are for JD. So therefore, it's already impossible, I think. You never know. Sure, you never know. But I feel that there must be, also from what I heard from you know, like those other lawyers that they speak on and that were there and they've seen the jurors, there must be at least a couple of people which they're pro JD, or they, you know, they totally don't buy in the BS of her camp. So that alone, it's enough for not letting him lose the counterclaim, or win the, you know, that she wins the counterclaim. You know what I mean? So because it has to be unanimous. So yeah, I really don't believe that all of them are against the JD. I honestly, I really think it's really highly unlikely, but still, then you need only one person to be in her favor to still to be unresolved, basically. So it's gonna be really exciting, man. It's gonna be not only exciting but also a little scary, really. I think I will be so freaking disappointed. I will be so incredibly disappointed if, you know, they just don't see it. The jury just doesn't see this, you know? I lost the chat. Oh, here we are again. No, but like, hey, Valtrusten, Brenda, good night. Thank you for passing by. Valtrusten, it's, I think it's like both Dutch and also sounds like German. I think also German they say Valtrusten. I know that I don't have the right accent, but anyway. Well, you know, the thing is always, the argument is always very, very delicate and nuanced, because you could argue that JD was a drug addict and had difficulties with his rehabilitation, but and that's fair. That's a fair argument, but you know, to assume that like consuming will make you like a monster, that's actually not true. That's really actually not true. Like some people behavior don't change. People which they're really like that type of aggressive, they're just always like that. You know, guys that which they do smoke and take ecstasy, whatever, they're chill, they're relaxed. You know, like it really goes against it's basically the opposite of being aggressive. So I really find it harder to believe. So, but the problem is this, that a lot of people fail to see, is that, and of course you can call me out, I'm no way a specialist, or you know, but more or less from just reading and understanding a little bit, you know, like more or less, it seems like really narcissistic people, they tend to find caretakers. They tend to find people which they have a tendency of caring for others, feeling empathy for others. So it makes total sense that narcissist finds also broken empath, because broken empath are easier to manipulate and they are easier to keep in the position of the prey, you know? So a lot of people fail to understand that when you get into the freaking talents, you know, of a person that has those type of mental disturbance, you know, mental problems, wow, you have to be really freaking sharp to see it, what it's, where it's happening, where it's going, you know. And if you're like a person that is already battling with your own stuff, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be really hard. And also because narcissists, they will make you feel that you are basically the problem, the crazy one. They will never admit, and you know, especially empath, people that listen, caretakers, they will always try to first question themselves. They will always question themselves first and see what they did wrong, what they can do better, and they're kept always in this position of doubt where they keep questioning themselves or what they can do. And on the other side, maybe you have moments where they seem to be reasonable, and then you know that they get into this kind of like violent whatever thing, like we've seen in the audios. So in that way, actually, I don't feel like to say it's equal, the toxicity. You know, I don't think it was equal. No, I don't think it was equal at all. Because also people refer to JD having, for instance, like a streak of dark humor or using slur or cussing, bad language, in text messages to friends, which were not even supposed. Like I said this before, you're seeing this because now you can see it, because you can see the text message that were private, and therefore you go like, oh wow, he told the friend just to burn her up or something, to have sexual intercourse with their corpse. That's awful, of course, but also you don't know the context of the message. You don't know if there is, from between those two people, there is a tendency of a type of humor. You don't know that. But you just read the words, and the words, they come across like they come across because that's how words are. Like you go like, oh wow, he's talking about a corpse and sexual intercourse in the same sentence. That's freaking crazy. But those are just text messages in between two people, not directed to that person, first of all, and you don't know the context. So, if the only thing you can accuse the guy is that he got like fed up and sometimes call her the C word, I don't condone it. I don't condone getting to that point in the way that if you start to talk to each other all the time like this, it's definitely not good. But you can be sure that it started from somewhere. You can be sure that it started from somewhere. And most likely it didn't start from him. The truth, something to me that seems like more reasonable to believe is that actually that when you meet the wrong person, he or she can manage to get the worst out of you. That's usually the dynamic. And that's what usually the narcissists are good at. Literally able to manipulate you to the point where you basically start to get to the lower of yourself, the lowest of yourself, and then they blame you for it. So it's very tricky, man. It's very tricky. That's why it's so damaging, I think. That's why it's so incredibly damaging when people, they realize, like when you meet a narcissist, and the damage they really cause, and the damage they also cause once you manage to get out of it. It doesn't end there, because then you have to live with yourself to heal yourself, and you still question yourself on how the heck you managed to become the abused, for so long. So it's very tricky, man. It's very, very tricky. Well, guys, Sarah Rose, I agree, and please don't misunderstand me, because this is in no way like I don't know Elon Musk. I have no idea. I've never spoken to him. I don't know. He's definitely, in my opinion, he's definitely a brilliant man in his endeavors, in some fields. He's probably a very smart guy in engineering, but I think. And I say this with respect. I don't say this because I want to diminish anybody. I say this with the utmost respect. I think that the word genius gets thrown around too easily, especially around people which have achieved great financial success, especially billionaires. It's like this guy, because he's the richest man on the planet, he gets the badge of a genius. But I think we have to be a little careful with this word, because even though he might be a very brilliant man and very brilliant in some fields, that doesn't mean that this guy is brilliant on every field. You know what I mean? So there is a lot of stuff out there. Like there's a lot of knowledge. There's a lot of specialties, you know? And some people are really amazing at some stuff, but they're not amazing at everything, you know? So I think we have to be a little cautious with those type of things. To me, a genius, and I might be wrong, but you know, you can call me out on that. I think to me a genius, a true genius, it's somebody that in his lifetime he's managed to create a breakthrough in something. You know, whether it's physics, biology, you know, whatever other scientific field. And I don't know if Elon Musk actually personally he has managed to do such a thing. You know what I mean? It's an absolutely brilliant man, and I agree with you. You know, he create businesses, absolutely like successful to the point where his cars, mostly his cars and all those other enterprises made him like this, you know, gigantic figure. But where is the breakthrough? You know what I mean? I think nowadays people are too easily affected by the status of a powerful individual, and they forget, for instance, that Einstein, right, never achieved probably the millionaire status, or let alone billionaire status. You know what I mean? Like, probably made some money. I'm sure probably at the time maybe he might have made also some millions because such a prominent individual, you know. So I'm sure it was paid well, like maybe the government paid well, like whatever. I don't know exactly how it went. But you also have to understand, like, you also have to give credit to all the other people that surround somebody like that, which are incredibly brilliant. Elon Musk is a brilliant man, and he's surrounded by extremely brilliant people. You know, you don't do stuff alone. You know what I mean? It's not that the guy is alone, like to give you an example, like the idea of the genius that we have in movies, like Tony Stark, for instance, right? That literally the guy understands physics, mathematics, chemistry, whatever, like on the fly, and you know, the day after he comes on with, you know, some kind of solution for an impossible problem. So I think we have to rationalize those things a little bit more. Otherwise, we lose. Like we lose a little bit the perspective of what actually means to be a genius. I think there have been very few. Yeah, Tesla, I know. Tesla seemed to be also a very incredibly brilliant man. Like I said, don't misunderstand me. You know, like I'm just saying, I think there's a lot of brilliant people likely today, but like geniuses, I think they're very rare to come by. I think, you know, like I wish they were more frequent, because in the end, that's something that I've always been puzzled by, because you know, stuff that can be learned, it's out there, like the all the mathematics, all the physics, that the majority of people, some people can have access to, some people can understand, some people can build upon, but seems like it's also quite rare that somebody that specializes in those fields, which is already rare on its own, because you need a type of mind and like, of course, a type of intelligence. And it seems already rare that you're part of, the new batch of physics. And then in those batch of physics, that somebody actually manages to come up with a breakthrough. You know what I mean? So I don't know if those things are linear, that you study and then you can come up with something. That's also to me a mystery, like how some people are capable of seeing through stuff that other intelligent people don't see through, So it's also quite actually, it's pretty much a mystery. Luckily, intelligence is not relegated just to few individuals. I think actually the majority of people have great opportunities, and they also have great abilities, because like in anything, like abilities have to be fueled. When you're born, like you don't come by default with the programming that you know how to speak a language. You learn a language from where you're born. Like you either Italian or Spanish or from the Philippines, from South Africa, I don't know, from Algeria, whatever country, Paraguay, from Japan, Russia. You're born, and as a kid you start to listen to your parents and you start to learn, and the programming start, and you start to understand that language, But it's not automatic. It's not by default that you're born, you already know French or English or whatever. And funny enough, like anybody, like for instance tomorrow, if they're born like all the people that are born only in one part where they only speak, like I don't know, say like I don't know, just to make an example, like Mandarin, well, then all the other languages disappear, they totally disappear. Then you have to study it. Like other languages already disappeared, like Latin. Latin was the most prominent language in Europe, most of Europe and North Africa, and literally disappeared. Probably it's been spoken for the good part of 1500 years or so. That's a long time. And it just disappeared. So I don't know exactly how knowledge works, like have the feeling that knowledge can also go backwards if you're not careful. That's why I say, like, I think nowadays people are not driven by fulfilling their potentials. All of us, whether being our upbringing, our parents, the school system, and so many people which they don't get the chance of exploring their abilities, which some people could even take to very extreme places. I really believe that. I honestly don't think that certain qualification or whatever are just for very selected kind of people. Of course, there might be also like something with the brain, like maybe some people, they're already born with better connections in the brain, or like for some reason, some plasticity that allows for more synapses. I don't know, like, that kind of stuff. So like for other part of the bodies, perhaps then you have advantages because you can make more strange association, or like both more logical or less logical association, so they can lead you places with your brain. So that can be that, like literally the shape of your brain. Some people may be more lucky than other, but I think that the majority of people with training, they can actually reach great heights, because that's how we are. And the truth is also, like I said, also the opposite is true. If people are not exposed to anything, we go more and more towards a basal level that we probably used to be in. I mean, if tomorrow you don't send your kids to school, if like from tomorrow on kids don't learn other languages, don't learn calculus or whatever, that gets lost. For as crazy as that sound, we don't come into the world equipped with this knowledge as to be retold from the start. And so therefore, like, there is a chance that education gets, like, that the evolution gets slowed down at a certain point. So that's why we also have to be careful. I think we are so distracted by so many things, and I think that actually the solution for the future, for people in general, is to try to let everyone, more people, have access to learning, to exploring themselves. Can you imagine how many talented human beings there are in places, in every freaking place on the planet, but just because maybe they don't have access to good teachers, to good schools, to good infos or whatever, they lose the chance to grow into that person? Can you imagine how many potential businesswomen, businessmen, like engineers or architects or scientists, that are right now living, that they are 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 or 12, and all they need is a chance to be directed? You know, like, I think if we focused more on that, I think we could make progress like 10-folds, 100-folds faster than actually we are now. But yeah, go figure how you do that. Sorry guys, because we are not talking of the trial, I go every now and then on tangents. Sorry, I go every now and then on tangents. Sometimes I forget where we started from. It's like we started somewhere and we ended up here. But it's also fun because, you know, this can be something also maybe for future lives, you know, podcasts or other things that we can do and we can talk about with each other, I suppose. Yes, exactly, Marilyn. That's exactly what I'm saying, you know? It's like so many people miss that chance, like perhaps, you know, Elon did when he was a kid, that was directed by his parents or whatever. Some people miss that chance for one reason or another. I agree with indoctrination. Strangely enough, we teach kids first how to think in terms of like what to believe in spirituality, whether you're Christian, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Jewish, whether you're Hinduist, or, you know, whatever. I find actually quite strange that the first imprint we give kids is mostly that, instead of actually teaching kids to have curiosity in asking questions and in learning about the universe and physics or whatever other things, you know. Honestly, I think that we should focus more on that and less on those other things, which they're somehow just an imprint to, I don't know, maybe in the past those things were good, you know, because there wasn't the same law as we have today. So maybe that kind of religious imprint somehow created also a type of control that was beneficial for those society of the time, because the you know, at least people had this kind of divine fear in them that kept them from acting in a certain way because they were afraid of the repercussion of the sins or whatever. So it makes sense that in those older societies, maybe this was used, the religion was used also as a tool of control for the good. Because otherwise, literally, people, you will probably have some freaking crazy, like smashing into your door, taking your wife, you know, and leaving or something, suffering no repercussion. You know what I mean? So, luckily, this doesn't happen today. Thank you, Heather Ripley. I agree with discipline, with some form of discipline, because I think discipline again ties in with creating a better imprint, you know? Of course it becomes quite tricky, because then it's like, what kind of discipline do you imprint into somebody? You can imprint them the discipline of going to church every Sunday, you know, but maybe you can imprint them the discipline of asking questions, of taking care of their bodies, of being aware of what they eat. So all those things that actually can be very beneficial to an individual growing, and we don't have that. We really don't have that today. We have so much freedom that freedom has actually turned against us. It's like there's so much choice that the choice has become boredom. You know, that we have so many possibilities that those possibilities have become obesity. You know, so it's actually quite a great contradiction. You know, then after all this time, we are realizing that actually we do need to be a little bit more careful and cautious and disciplined on how we structured our day. You know, we thought we didn't need that structure because we're free to do whatever we want. And then, you know, I just saw that Elon Musk, posted something. I have to see what the hell he posted. Elon Musk just posted a picture. What is he eating? An ice cream? He just posted a picture of Dr. Manhattan on another planet. If you don't know, Dr. Manhattan, it's this blue superhero character from I think it's Marvel movies, I think. I don't know why he posted this picture of Dr. Manhattan. Ciao Marloca. Yes, Alberto, self-destruction is a freedom. Everything is a freedom, but then again, what is freedom? You know, if it's not well-being, you know, like if you're miserable, then what freedom is that? Is it really freedom, or then you become slave to your own addiction? I suppose freedom, maybe my idea of freedom is actually to have a sense of balance, a sense of being content with your emotions and your body, to manage to navigate the waves without being stuck either in hyperactivity or in depression or in constant insatisfaction. You know, some like being managed to going through those waves and not attach to none of them, you know, trying always to find it always better to try to go back into the center yourself. And that's how you navigate those waves of life, of ups and downs and so on and so forth. I don't think there is the same thing, you know, the same method for everybody, but I think it's a good practice to observe yourself, to question yourself, and also to try to see yourself through the eyes of others, because otherwise you end up only seeing yourself from the bubble that you've created. like we were talking about narcissists before, right? They seem to be unable to see themselves from the outside, and if they probably did, maybe they would be able to change. So for those that can, I think it's a good practice to see yourself also through the eyes of others, so that you can see yourself also in the places where you don't seem that you're able to progress, because when it comes, for instance, like to making progresses, if you're frustrated with your progresses, or either that being like your diet or your hobbies or whatever, most of the time it's because you're doing something exactly in the same way that it's causing you to keep being in the same position, and you don't manage to see it. So by looking at yourself through the eyes of others and listening, sometimes you manage to discover which one is the very thing that is keeping you from progressing. So that's, I think, where it comes in handy, the help of other people, as a mentor or a trainer, or other people that can be of support in that way, therapists and so on and so forth. So like I said, there is not one thing for everything. By the way, how did we got here, guys? It's like I think we started from Elon Musk, and we ended up here, and we ended up to the Watchman. Lindy Inclusive, thank you so much, Lindy. Thank you. I'll think about writing another book. Yeah, that's a big step. Well, just to close the argument, we're talking about narcissists. Again, I really don't know to what level this person, AH, is unaware of herself. Like that really comes down to that, that really comes down. What happened here? Wow, that seems like crazy. I don't know this statement. It's actually, if this part here, it's a figure of speech, or it's something that really happens. That actually is getting me worried. Wow, I gotta look into this. This is a little bit crazy. I don't know what the heck is happening there. Please tell me why I'm blocked. Patty, I have no idea, Patty. Nobody's blocking you. I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. Probably somebody just writing something for fun. Well, like I said, like if you don't have that internal dialogue, that can be quite tricky. If you don't have that internal voice that tells you, like, the questions, that questions yourself, you question yourself, then it's really difficult. Like, some people really believe that they're always in the right, they've never done nothing wrong. Like, especially narcissists, they will blame everybody but themselves all the time. So whatever happens is always somebody else's fault. I don't know if they have a moment where they sit down and go like, oh wow, maybe I'm fucking up, maybe it's me, maybe I'm doing something wrong, maybe I'm hurting somebody. So I don't know if there's a moment of that lucidity. I don't know if there is like, maybe, you know, when you have those highs. I also don't know if she has other mental conditions that might tie into her behavior. I don't know. Like, we know that Dr. Curry said she's histrionic and borderline personality. To me, borderline personality seems also pretty serious. So yeah, I don't know if some of those things with medication, but then again, it's also so tricky, man. You know, like how you fix the chemistry of the brain. You know, I really don't know. I really don't know. I don't have an answer for that. I really don't know. Bring in Naples a pizza with pineapple in Naples, and everybody becomes borderline personality. No, mostly everybody becomes a mob. You gotta watch out. Actually, Hell's Adventure, you fix it with mushrooms. I don't know. I'm trying to do microdosing. I've started like in this period. I've started microdosing, and as you know, here in the Netherlands, you can buy mushrooms legally. You know, it's nothing strange. So you can go buy mushroom legally, fresh mushroom, hallucinogenic mushroom legally. So it's nothing strange. And they also sell the dosage to do microdosing, which is basically either 1 gram of the full dose, which usually is 10-15 grams for fresh mushroom to get the high, you know. So microdosing is basically you take 1 gram, 1 day yes, 2 day no, 1 day yes, 2 day no. So 1 yes, 2 off, 1 yes, 2 off. I started, but I'm taking less than the microdosing dosage. You know, I have this little like milligram balance scale, and I started out with like 0.25, 0.30, 0.25. So it's like a fourth of a microdose of the mushroom, because I want to see if there is a positive effect. I read that seem to have good effect on mental fog, anxiety, depression. But mostly I was curious to see for the mental fog, you know, like sometimes, especially in those last years of my life, I always felt a little scattered. So with the mind, so felt like always like I had difficulties concentrating for a long time on something, and like that you have less ideas coming into your mind. So I wanted to experiment to see if there was any benefit with mental fog and clarity and focus. So, and I have to say, I've done it for a month now, and I have to say, when I do it, it seems like that for like, yeah, it seems like I'm a little bit more focused so far. So I didn't, you know, I'm not somebody, I don't smoke, I don't drink alcohol, I don't do any type of recreational drugs at all. Like, I'm completely the opposite of JD. But I'm very interested in things that can benefit your health. So I was curious to do this and see if it actually really works. Thank you, Terani. Well, I read this, but there is no like I don't think you're. I don't. I've read that there is no, so far at least that I know of. I don't think there is any dependency on microdosing. And also, we are talking of mushrooms, eh? We're talking of fresh mushrooms. Like, we're not talking of LSD or other stuff like that. That, just to be clear. You know, the thing is this, that I also take, like, you know, before I was taking like lion's mane, which is this other mushroom, which is not, it's not an hallucinogenic, it's not psilocybin, it's just a normal, like, food, you know, that you can buy the capsules and powder, and it's also supposed to be very good for memory and so on and so forth. So I was taking that, but I also was reading that there's a difference with psilocybin, which basically cross the barriers of the brain, which other things don't do. So, if I understand that correctly, and that's why you get the effect, right? So, hey, Dale Andrew. Yes, I don't do, you know, I didn't start microdosing because of, you know, wanting to get high or anything. Actually, quite the contrary. I mean, I just wanted to see if that has mental health benefits, you know, if it can benefit you with mental clarity and focus. That's all, really, honestly, and it's all that I care about. Yeah, I know that there are studies. There are studies also for people with severe post-traumatic stress disorder, which they do microdosing and everything. Ironically, I remember, I think in the States, ironically, I think, I don't know if it was the 50s or 60s, and until a certain time, actually doctors, they were quite experimenting with those natural remedies, you know, with the psilocybin and all those things, LSD. They were experimenting a lot, trying to find out the benefits around it, and then all of a sudden it was, you know, boom, illegal. Again, microdosing, for those that didn't understand that, microdosing is really like a fraction, a fraction of, you know, the quantity of mushrooms that you should take to basically have an effect of recreational, you know, use. So really a fraction, like really a fraction. I take less than a fraction of that, because yeah, I have absolutely no interest in getting high in that way, you know, or getting like a hallucination or something. And then of course you do it for a period. You don't. I don't know. I just tried 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or something like that. So I try a little bit, and then, you know, we'll see. I take also cold showers, you know. I do cold showers, I do the Wim Hof breathing. I'm always curious about trying stuff to find out how to feel better, get better, you know. Stay healthy, stay well, because the most beautiful thing when you start to grow up, you know, the most beautiful thing in your life is waking up, you have pain nowhere. You know, you have no pain in your knees, in your feet, in your back, on your head, in your shoulders. You wake up, you go to the kitchen, you drink water, you make yourself a coffee or a tea, and you feel good, you're mobile. That's the most wonderful thing ever. I know that people give those things for granted, but actually it's the most spectacular thing that you can have and be grateful for. You stand up from the bed, you feel good about yourself, you feel good about your body. Ah, yes, that's a good day already. You know, like going back to AH here. I find it. I think I've said this before, and I might be wrong because I have no idea, but to my experience as a human being, I don't know. Like I think JD probably started to become a little bit more jealous because he started to feel insecure about his relationship. This is very common thing, you know. If you start to feel that your partner potentially has a promiscuous streak, so to speak, right? Whether with one gender or the other gender, so it opens up the door even to more possibilities, right? So I think it's totally fair that the guy all of a sudden starts to get a little bit paranoid. Also, maybe a little paranoid because of the weed, but you know, you start to get a little paranoid because you know that this person is capable of going left and right, literally, and it makes you insecure. So that's what happens, you know. Then you start to doubt yourself. Then you start to, you know, start not to trust the person anymore when she's going out or going to this party and going to that other party and whatever. So if you don't get that sense of security, especially if you decided to have a monogamous relationship, right? This is also an agreement that you make. If you decided to be together in that way for whatever time, and then you sort of don't maintain that, or you start to confuse the other person that starts to feel insecure, and he feels insecure towards you, of course he's going to start to feel jealous. You know, that's how it works. Whether, you know, like it could have been him or her. You know, you start to feel insecure, you start to feel jealous. Actually, Tara, you're right. You're not paranoid if she's actually cheating you. I agree with you. That's actually a fact. Yeah, and we heard the video before that seemed like that they were having fun already when before they separated. Yeah, I mean, people's lives are so complicated, you know. Everybody is, yeah. Especially in LA, I mean, there's all those realities, you know. People sort of coming in and out of trends also in behavior, you know. One day you are a burner, another day you are a yogini, another day you are a burner yogini, another day you are like polyamorous, Another day you're a polyamorous burner, and so on and so forth. And so I think there is also that type of scene there, which yeah. You know, like the one point that was made that was actually quite excellent about AH camp was also the fact that almost literally every expert that was on trial for her side basically was a paid expert, which of course both sides brought in. But it is remarkable that none of the people actually that she was friend with actually showed up on the spot. You know what I mean? They did like a remote deposition, not even live. Those depositions were like remote, but also done in the past. And like so, they were not there. You know, they probably did it at their convenient time, which is also kind of strange if you think about it. Well, we you know, guys, we're gonna see like we're gonna see. I just want to refresh this for the last time to see if there's anything new. Otherwise, we're gonna start to wind down here. Gonna start to go to sleep. So it's 12 o'clock already. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything new, at least for tonight. We have to see if tomorrow there is anything new coming out. I'm always on the lookout for new stuff, but so far today we have covered as much as we could cover for all the things that came out. Let's take a nice picture. This is, I think this guy is was part of the security details for surrounding the court and you know, him. I think this must have been maybe also the last day, because I remember this suit of JD was one of the last day this week. Nice. It's always good with fan JD. Always takes his time. That's nice. Wow. Even the New York Post write articles that are actually quite crazy. Johnny Depp coming out on top in court of public opinion, experts say. Wow. Guys, I think we saw everything for tonight. We spent a couple of hours together. Probably more than a couple of hours together. And I really enjoyed it. Tomorrow we can do the same. Tomorrow I'll check it out, you know, to see if there's something happening. And maybe I'll come on the same time, a little earlier, we'll see. Michelle, actually, we just saw this in the beginning of the. Sorry, we actually showed this in the beginning of the live. We saw that she's faking like writing on the notes. We saw some videos of that. I know, that's crazy, right? Caroline, thank you so much. We'll try to cover new things as well, you know, in the near future. You know, maybe like a little bit of pop culture, other things. I'm sure we can keep going. I'm also very curious to know what is going to be the aftermath of all of this, you know? with JD and his life, his career. But we'll definitely do other things as well, so. Yeah, honestly, I don't think she's gonna get much work, at least for a very long while. But you never know, eh? You never know. But yeah, whatever. Alright, guys. We had a nice live. I think it's a good time to stop here. There's also the video we did today, also another video this morning. Maybe we already watched it as well. There's maybe also some other video that you haven't watched about leaked photography, pictures of JD and so on. I'm on the lookout, so if I see anything new, I'm definitely posting it very quickly as far as I can. If you have also stuff that you want to send me, send it to me on Instagram. I'll look into it. Guys, I want to thank you so much. We're still like 2,000 of us in the chat. That's great, man. That's really awesome. Really fantastic. I want to thank you to all of you in the chat. I want to thank you for all the likes. And I also want to wish you a good night. It's really nice to to do this more often. So, yeah, I wish you a good afternoon. Good morning, and if you're from Europe, around here, you know, the same time, good night as well. Here it's like now 12 o'clock. So, guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow, right? Take care of yourself. Ciao, ciao. Signing out.